Good morning, everybody. So it looks like we're going to have a muted Friday, which is pretty common for this time of the year. You really don't see a ton of action going on right now. You usually see it pretty slow. You are seeing some things move, which gives me a little bit of interest. But overall, it's going to be a really quiet day. That's the best way to explain today. It's not really the fastest day today. Like it's pretty slow. It's pretty muted as always when you get into this holiday. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, I agree. Hey, Brandon. Yep, I agree. Let's have a really strong end to the week. Just be aware that volume is going to be light. Usually days like today, they love bidding things up off the open and then getting people all giddy and excited and then pulling the rug out. And I think that that's really what you're going to see here as well. So just consider that. It's something. It's that time of year where they do this. So just keep that in mind. But in regards to what's going on out there, NVIDIA, for me, the action was great, we moved, but we really have to see what's happening, and we really have to figure this out. It's pretty important. So, let's see if you get over this 205 before you get all crazy and buy. Like, you can bounce around in here and have trades, but you really need to get through that level. And just throw out ones that you want to go over, and I'll gladly go over them. This is one that I'm just watching today, and we're gonna have to see how this plays out. But maybe you can get over this on that news. I mean, right, they're expanding their capabilities. That should move the stock, right? We'll see. Doesn't really seem like it's that perfect, right? Like you really ran right to that moving average this morning and pulled back. So let's see how that goes. Hey, Ro. Good morning, Justin. Morning, Em. So I can cover you, yes. So, and BNTX, yes, I can cover that, and Myrna. I mean, honestly, I'm going to just be blunt. BNTX is trading up. I find it fascinating considering that they're very similar drugs. But let's look at this. So here's you. Look, we got over this 122.80. You came back, you tested this, right? See how this was resistance and now it's support. So really, you just need to hold this level. I'm not a buyer here, not yet. What you really need to do is you need to wait for it to start getting above some of these, like get above one of these, and maybe you could start building and then go higher. But that's going to take some time. I mean, you're not going to go straight up from here. That's not going to happen. So I wouldn't be in a big hurry here. There's software names, a lot of other software names that look much better than this right now. You really pulled back here and you're sitting on support, but that's the first thing. It stopped going down. Now we need it to go up. If I was in it, I wouldn't sell it. And I was trying to stay in it. I wouldn't sell it until it closed below that 114 level. FDS. Let's take a look. So FDS, fact set. So nothing's really changed between pre and post, right? So just looking at this, let's see here. Okay, there we go. So what you're seeing is a nice little run right up to that level. Now, hopefully that continues and you flip, but you have to get over that 8-day. The fact that you stopped right on that 8-day is really important. It's something that you have to watch. And you're wedged in there, aren't we? Right? We're wedged in there between the 21 and the 8. So you're going to have to see it flip this level to get involved. If it flips that level, I could see why you're getting involved. Until it flips that, I wouldn't touch it. And you could just be here, right? That's where you're looking for 10 points, because this could just flag out and just go straight across and become a flag, right? And now you're buying a bear flag that's eventually going to break the 21-day. That doesn't sound exciting. So I'd like it to break above this level and then go. That's how I would play that. Snow. So Same levels. It's the same superheated, right? I mean, we try to break above the 258.84. We do it for like a day. Everyone gets excited. We reverse on what? Basically a bearish engulfing at the top, right? This bar completely encompasses that bar. And then we start forming this bear flag. And now look, this is exactly what we were just talking about with FDS. See how the flag is in between the 8 and the 21? You really don't want to go near this. On earnings, let's just go through this, right? Earnings are coming up around the corner. So, I mean, just buyer beware. I mean, you have a straight line here. Like, look, if you get rid of these indicators, right? And we can actually draw this a little cleaner now, right? So you have a trend line there that you're respecting, but it's not something I would be jumping into here. You know, I'd watch. So let's go to ISOMET. So let's go to BNTX and let's get into this. So I don't know why this is trading up. I really don't. I'm actually surprised that pre-market's trading up. Maybe people don't understand that. They think because so, I mean, the news is this for people that aren't aware. mRNA is under investigation for side effects in the EO. Okay, today that has spread to the FDA. Okay, being down 7 on that news, and that's all I'm down, is somewhat surprising. So the fact that BNTX is even bidding up is somewhat surprising. It's very hard to say that this is priced into the stock for me. So I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that it's priced in. You know, that's not how I would view it. So just looking at that, you know, I'd be really cautious here. So, and you could just see how this 8's going to cross the 21. Like this is setting up to go to here. You know, I was hoping that you might see a rally in this and start basing and then test these highs, but it might just be time to move on and let this thing play itself out. I don't know that I want to be playing with these investigations out there. I mean, what happens if they come out and say that, yes, there's an issue and that could be used for emergency use, but can't be used for full FDA approval? I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate. There's a lot in these stocks right now. So there's a lot of risk in a statement like that. And, you know, one day you come in and it's halted, right? So you have to start thinking like that when you start seeing news like this. Binary events can happen. BT, and Mara. Let's do them. So I'm on the other side of those right now. Any rallies, I'm just looking to either buy puts or to short the VAX names right now. I'd be really careful. You know, the FDA getting involved means that the EU saw something and they may have shared that or they may not, but they feel the need to get involved. BT, you're trying to break out here and go. You know, honestly, if I click off these indicators, I like these support levels in here. These are fib levels, but I like how you're holding them, right? You're holding that level, the 1125, you're flipping. So you're going to try and get up to here to $14, $15. And I think it may happen. I think you could get up there and, you know, maybe get up to maybe regain some of this. It is possible. But you're going to just have to watch and you're going to have to take it with a grain of salt. And you are coming into earnings on it. You know, today you're starting to see a lot of those move and, you know, it could be on the NCTY news. This has a huge, right? And from the earnings, we moved from here. This is where we were talking about it when we saw that buying come in and rally up, come all the way back down. There's not really much to do with it here. I mean, you have to break that wedge line. You know, if people are trying to play this and you're just trying to play it to make money, you know, I've been trying to show some other things that are out there. So, but I really think, you know, I don't want to go down the crypto wagon this morning. Let's just stay focused. But in regards to what you're asking, I would not touch this until I can break above this level because I also have this here that is now resistance. So I would watch that very closely. KSS. Hey, Terry. So he came out with earnings. The earnings were good, right? But I guess they're not, you know, Dillard's good, are they? Like the stock's just not responding how it should. You have this wedge line right here that you're going to have to be aware of. So if you get through that wedge line, you may have my interest. Get through this and then see how it acts. And then really what you're going to want to see is how do you act here? Other than that, I wouldn't touch it until it does that. APPN. So with the APPN, what you're seeing is this come down and hold this level. I looked at this the other day, right? Look at all these downtrends and how they're getting worse. You don't want to be playing with this. It needs to hold here and start getting higher and breaking the 8-day, break the 21, break the 50. So, hey, Nicholas, good morning. Cube. So, I mean, there's not much to say here. It's just basically just a cash cow. I mean, it just keeps grinding higher. To me, these really trade like REITs, right? And the reason for it is because all they keep doing is adding space, putting more square footage together, right? When they put the square footage together, they go out there, they borrow. When they borrow, they just book the difference between that and the positive cash flow. And on top of that, the appreciation of the properties. It's a really simple model until they start raising rates. And then when they start raising rates, this stuff will come down because the profitability will not be as great on new products. But until they raise rates, this is probably just going to keep doing this. I mean, every time it breaks below the 21 days, probably exactly where you should be buying it, right? Like, I mean, every single time it's hit that 21 day since we started this run, right? And the 50 days just like a layup. So consider that. I mean, you're not going to get a ton out of it, but what you can get out of it is this. If you can get down to this level 50, and then you start, just staying in it, but just buying that 21 day. I mean, that's the way to trade it, in my opinion. But this is really something you just buy and forget that you own. And you'll do really well with it, Robert. DDS. So, yeah, I mean, this is just huge. So I keep waiting for it to break this level to flip to go up here. It's one we were playing with down here and thought like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I can't wait for it to break. I'm going to make so much money shorting Dillards. And then guess what happens? It doesn't break. It goes higher. So it was crazy to me when this stock did this because it never really moves like this, right? But the earnings are just through the roof. So, and you can just kind of take a look at the events here and see how it's done from there. Earning $1.43, earning $3.43, $6.37, $8.80. I mean, this is insane growth for a department store company. It's just insane. So you can see what's going on here, and that's why the stock's moving the way that it is. What you need to do is you have to realize you're not going to get through this, right? So that's you eventually may, but let's just go on the premise that you're not. Okay. So now you have to figure out and use that as your target. Breaking this wedge line would be a move. 200 and then go, okay, maybe I can get 15, 16 points out of it. And maybe it'll break this time, but that at least gets you in with like a 193 stop. If you're trying to get in and up that. It's 2-1. It's not the best, but at least it gets you in there. FDS, yep. I would just keep it at 2. FDS, I would keep it like that. I'll go through it again really quickly so that we're on the same page. You understand why I'm picking that number. Here's the long red bar, right? This bar is in charge. Nobody doubts that right now. Hopefully you don't doubt that right now. Let me rephrase that. So really what you're looking for is this level right here, 375. That's your next target. You have to flip this and that's your target. It's 10 points on FDS. So hopefully that's helpful. APP. Overland Corporation. I've been looking at this and you just keep running into issues. You have a lot of nonsense up here. This is not something I'd go near just because of all this up here. But if you want even a clearer picture, of what's going on here. We can get rid of all these horizontal lines, and we can really just see where everybody's in this at and see where the players are, right? So, and that's somewhat helpful, isn't it? So that's a little more interesting than how I had it drawn, and I think it's a little clearer. So sometimes that happens. You get rid of everything and you just look at it with fresh eyes, right? So when you're looking at it like this, you might not see everything, right? Like that doesn't really paint a great picture, but at least you're above this for the first time, or trying to get above that level for the first time. But when you throw in some indicators, such as volume by price, you can see how once you broke that point of control, what happened? You ran. Now you're trying to get above the volume by price VWAP line, which is pretty substantial to this stock, right? Bonk, 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 bonk. Can't break above it, right? You're trying. So if you got above this 67 and a quarter, you probably go to 69 and a half and push. So you're going to really have to watch that. And then if you do that, what you're looking for is to start getting up to this level, the 80s. But that's your turn. But if your first move is to get above and close above this and then get above this. If you do that, you see this vacuum in here, right? See, there's no stock in here. There's no supply. This move gets a lot easier and easier as time goes on. So I would wait for it to do something like that if that was one that I wanted to be in. Good morning, Nestor. So what am I looking at? So I'll tell you what I'm looking at. I'll just go through it really quickly. I just love when he issues press releases. It just kills me. Get rid of these for a minute. But Tesla, in regards to Tesla, coming out with a humanoid robot, and now all of a sudden that's part of where the earnings could be on this company, is absolutely a huge move, and I think completely underrated that people aren't getting it. I mean, we're obviously going that way if you look at what Boston Dynamics is doing, but the fact that he's combining that with this, to me, is absolutely huge. And I would really pay attention to this today. I'm looking at this today and hoping we pull back down so that I can put up buy calls, but I have to really watch today and see how we do. Usually on days like today, they bid you up and knock you down. Anything like mRNA, to me, I'm looking at BNTX. I think both of those have the potential to be short candidates if they rally. This news that's coming out is not the greatest news, and I'm surprised that this is all that they're down. People are not fully grasping the concept of this and what could happen there. So, I mean, that's really what I was looking at. I was looking at this NCTY this morning, but it's already failing. That's really all I'm looking at right now as far as short term. Today's a light day. Hey, Toner. So today's usually a light day before Labor Day weekend. These Fridays get slower and slower. Families try to get vacations in. The spouses say stop trading, pay attention to your kids, all that stuff. So you're just going to see more and more of that until the weekend, or until Labor Day weekend, and everyone gets back to college or high school or grade school, wherever they're in. So 326.79 is what I would look for this to break before I get in. I actually, just a caveat disclosure, I have a position in this and I paid higher for it. I like it. I do. I like this a lot. And let me just show you this. In a really bad tape yesterday, we opened at the low, okay, closed at an all-time high, and hit an all-time high during a really bad tape. So that's really important to me. And I think it's something that should be important to a lot of people. Now, with that said, look at the volume that came in. Now, with that said, if I break this low, I'm out. I'll take my loss and I'll move on and lick my wounds, go on to the next one, because I don't want to revert to some kind of mean like the 21-day moving average, right? If I take this out, I'm going to go through the 8 like butter. So I don't really want to be around that. But I like SE longer term. I could see why you're looking at it. This was the move. Yesterday was the move that I've been waiting for on that stock for some time. So I pulled the trigger. Auto Grill, give me a symbol, M, and we'll go from there. Hey, Marty, hope everything's good in Manhattan. You guys are getting a new mayor soon, it looks like. I think your vote's coming up, right? Is it this year or next year? I think it's this year, the way they keep talking about it in the news. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see if we see a head and shoulders. I had a bear flag, but let's just go here. So, I mean, you're calling this the left shoulder, this the right shoulder, this the head. I mean, you can. This can go a lot lower. I mean, it broke. Look, I mean, there's a reason. Let's get rid of the volume by price right now. There's a reason, Nestor, that like the 200-day is the last bastion of the bulls. And this broke. I mean, they threw in the towel. It looked like it was going to bounce, rally. We had this hammer bar down here where I was like, this is going to be beautiful. They're going to take it above this. I was actually looking at going long above 33. And this is why it's so important to wait for your signals to, go. That's not what happened here. We sold down. We went the exact opposite way with it. So keep that in mind. It's not something I'd be rushing into because of that. I'd be holding off on it. I would argue that you just basically just have a broken panel here. I mean, you could make the argument that it's really an H, right? If you do the pre and post data, you broke the H or you broke your bear flag, however you want to call it. And once you broke your bear flag here, that was it, formed another one and then broke. So it really depends how you want to look at it. The head and shoulder argument, I don't see as much. I mean, you can make it by saying this is the left or this is the left, this is the right. We're going from here. Either way, you're toast. I mean, I don't know why you're stopping where you picked, right? So like to me, let me just draw that as clean as I can. So to me, here's your trend line. Let's get rid of these indicators for Amazon so you can see where my head is, Nestor. So you're here, you're hitting here, and then I'm riding this trend line. I'm closing above it. I'm opening on it. I'm closing above it, right? You have a little battle, right? Then what happens? It makes a decision. And it makes a decision right around also that 200-day makes a decision to not get above this, right? It's made decisions, can't get above the 300. So these are levels where it has said, yes, this is resistance. So to me, I would be looking and saying we broke the wedge line. Now, when you break a wedge line, either to the upside or downside, your target becomes wherever the wedge line starts. So to me, that puts me at 2,900, where I think this could get to. I think that's realistic. Hey, Gino, good morning. Ro, I like that trade. I'm just waiting for it to stop. I mean, it's crazy how many times I buy this and then get stopped out of it. I like it. I liked it up here. We had it in the newsletter from 45. We got to 48. If you didn't sell, you took a $4 loss because I never really moved the stop up. I wanted it to go. I thought, geez, we're going to get in the 50s. NVIDIA is going to come out with earnings. They're going to crush, which they did. AMD's crushing, right? Like we're finally going to go. And we're not seeing that, which is so fascinating to me. And at the same time, you're seeing companies like Intel come out and say, hey, we're going to start buying semiconductor equipment manufacturers. Okay. And we're going to start buying these. And there's a reason for that. They want to start putting those plants in the US. People are concerned about supply, and you can see that coming, right? I mean, these people, these tech companies, they're very smart, and they can see an issue coming, so they're trying to get ahead of it. But 41 to 48 is where I think you can go, but you have to give me something, right? You have to show me something. You have to break above something, and you just haven't done that yet. So we just have to sit and watch and wait, Ro. We're just not there yet. Hood, I think, is just an outright short. I just think it's an outright short. I think any rally, you should be shorting it. I said that the other day. I said it yesterday. Look, you came out with earnings. The earnings were an absolute dumpster fire. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. Volume slowed. Their revenues is either pay for play, where they're basically showing orders to Citadel, who then trades against their clients, or it was coming from Dogecoin. I think that 50% of earnings were crypto, right? And then the large majority of that, over 70 or 80% of it, was Dogecoin. So, there's a reason they came out and said numbers are going to be lighter next quarter, because they already know they have an issue. So, good for them for going public, and I'm happy they did exceptionally well, but the company has massive issues. That said, let me just get into the technicals. I don't see any reason why you're not going to $40. And if that breaks, you're going to 33 and you're heading down. Um, the one of these groups that I'm starting to change my tune on fundamentally is Coin. That move yesterday where they're coming out and saying, hey, we're going to start buying crypto. We just got approval to buy $500 million worth of crypto. Hey, we're going to put 10% of our revenues in crypto. Well, that's very interesting because who's more in the know besides where volumes are going than Coinbase, right? Nobody's going to be more in the know than they are with where crypto's going. Like they're going to see all the order flow, the majority of the order flow, I'll say, right? That is interesting. That comment was very interesting to me yesterday. So this may be setting up to be something, right? You still have a lot of work to do, but it might be setting up for something. So, but Hood, in regards to that, I think you're going to 40. I would just short any rally. BNTX is going to affect MRVI. There's no question about it. That whole space should be affected by this. And I don't know that it's going to be. I mean, the way I explained this trade and how I would trade MRVI was I'm looking for this to close above this 59.25 or get above 60.25 during the day. And then you have my interest. Until then, you don't have my interest. I'm not really paying attention to you. So just keep that in mind. It's not something that is just lighting my world on fire right now. You know, it has work to do. Let's just keep going. So we have AX, NX, and HHR. AX, NX. So that looks to me like you could break out here and go. You could break out here and go. I don't know why I have this. That symbol's wrong. You could break out and go here. Just all you're really looking for. Look at the volume that just kicked in. Get above that, 72.50. But that could go. And HHR. I mean, I like the volume. I don't know how high you're going on this, but it can move. Yeah, I mean, you have decent volume. It can go. You have to work through this wick. I mean, that would get me. I have to work through this wick. So Futu. So Futu, yeah, I would just avoid this. I mean, I think this is going a lot lower. I think you're going back down to here. Frankly, I think you're getting back in the 50s. Anything that is like China related right now with the headquarters and what's going on over there, institutions are just going to start puking stock as they've been doing. I mean, you can see it pretty clearly what's going on here. People just don't want to be in them anymore. Institutions don't want to be in them anymore. Retail still bottom feeding, not understanding the change in dynamics that happened with the DIDI move and what's going on geopolitically. They're not getting it yet. But they're going to, and it's going to be an issue. I personally don't think in 5 years any of these companies are on these exchange. I think they're all in the Hong Kong, so that they can be more controlled. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but I think that institutions are seeing this coming and they just don't want the exposure. So I think that this could sell down based upon that. Now you're breaking the 200. You can't get above the 8. The 21 straight down. Like this is not something you run into and buy. You have nothing but downward pressure. So I think your next stop here is probably $50. I think it could just be, a disaster, frankly. Yeah, I think that you're finally seeing some bottoming. I think on the IWM, I think it's really very interesting that you haven't broken this 210 line, right? You've hit it, bounced, hit it, bounced, got near it, reversed, hit it, bounced. Look where we're at again. So let's see what happens here. Now, these are rolling. I mean, the 50 days being completely respected, the 8 and the 21 crossing you below the 200. It's not a ringing endorsement, but you need to hold the 210. If you hold 210, you might start being able to build. Cube, I went through, Robert. I like it. So let me just see. I thought we already did Cube. Yeah, I did Cube. I like it. I like it a lot. Hubs, but it's just going to be a slow mover, Cube. I mean, that's really what you're going to do. You're just going to grind higher. but I did cover it. It is in there. So as I've been saying, I've been waiting for the 675 level just to get above that. And we have to see how that goes. And right now, this is what we're dealing with. So just see how it plays out. But you need to get above that 675 before I would consider buying it or adding to it. I like Tesla. I like it here. I do. I think what he came out and said was pretty important. I think he just created a whole different stream of possible revenue that people aren't even thinking about. And I think that's pretty interesting that it's now combined with that company. So, you're welcome, Robert. AMD and Drip. And then I'm going to have to start wrapping this up. I got to get ready here. Let's just get rid of all this for a moment. So you went right to the top of this trend line and you reversed, right? You came down. So you're holding back. And this is what happens with these, right? You get to the top of the trend line, you reverse, and then you revert to the mean. And what happened here? We reverted to the mean. Okay, so what does that do for us? Well, it probably takes us to a point where we're going to start basing and going forward and going higher. I get above the 8-day here, and you probably have my interest. But you have to get above that 8-day moving average before I would look at it. Drip, yeah, I mean, I know this. It's the 3X ETF, or maybe it's a 2X ETF. I don't know off the top of my head right now. It can go. I mean, it could go. The volume that's coming in is pretty substantial. You'd be looking at getting that 16. It's going to take a lot to get it there. You know, it takes a lot for that to move. Let's just say, let's just keep going. Could you comment if it had massive corrections? It's the large cap names. I mean, it's just where the money's going. It's Terry. That's just all the money's going in the large cap names. You can see it. It's all coming out of smaller term companies. It's all going into large cap. They want liquidity. Institutions want liquidity. So I'm just going to do these really fast. Look, I mean, there's nothing you can do about this now, right? If you miss this, the only thing that you can do is look for a pattern after it breaks above that level. That's the only way to trade that stock right now. It does. Sometimes it does defy reason, but AMC and GME are completely different stories compared to what Hood's doing, and the share count on Hood means that you can't do what you're doing with AMD. Not with AMC and GME, the share count was way different. Task tried to break out yesterday and reversed. I wouldn't go near it. I don't think SE is a problem. I don't think Singapore is an issue. Singapore is not really the issue, right? It's more China related and the control. They don't really have control of what's going on there, right? It doesn't really seem like they have control of what's going on in Singapore. No, I would never look at it as a value play. Ever. You don't know what those numbers are. You don't know if they're right or what they are. Now I'm just going to do this really quickly. So look, here's your level, 192. You need to hold here. If you hold here, you're probably going higher. Okay. It looks like you're going to try and bounce off that level. And ZI I like as well. So I like that as well. You got to break that wedge line I have right there and then go from there. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think that that's what Singapore is going to wind up doing. I think they're very well positioned, but we don't have to get in the whole talk on it. But I agree with you, Art. I mean, I think that's where we're going. So, all right, everybody, I have to jump. I have to set up for the day. Everyone have a great day. If you need me, you know how to get a hold of me. If you have questions, just, the best way to get a hold of me is just email me. For those, that don't have Twitter, just email me and we'll go from there. All right, everybody have a great